Welcome to our Sunday talk and meditation. This evening, I'd like to talk to you about enlightenment. My definition of enlightenment is different than most. There's one definition that you grow in your consciousness and you move out into cosmic awareness. And when our time is finished, we'll leave the body and return home to the void, home to the seat of the soul. And in this process of coming into the body and going out of the body and coming into the body, most of the time people only do that when they die. But in advanced meditation, you do it consciously by going into samadhi. Samadhi is complete dissolution of the self. And if you go into samadhi 1,000 times, you start touching the lower realms of enlightenment. So we visit enlightenment, we visit the dissolution of the self many, many, many times, usually over many, many incarnations. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can start the enlightenment process right now. For me, enlightenment is getting rid of the darkness. Seems a simple enough definition. We just need to get rid of the darkness within ourselves so that the clear light of the Dharmakaya, which is the manifestation of God, can flow through us completely and fully. In order to have that happen, we have to redeem our soul. I know it sounds like an old Christian thing, but really, let's just take it with a new definition, if you will. We've made a lot of mistakes over the incarnations. We come into these bodies with complete amnesia, and we are born into an environment surrounded by family and friends and circumstances and religions and politics, all the things that make up human existence, because of the advancement of our soul. And we come in to make changes, to upgrade our experience of the divine. We are born into families and into circumstances that give us the opportunity to transform ourselves. It's been said that this body, this 5-windowed house, the 5 senses and the mental capacity, plus the physical body itself, is an alchemical vessel. And in this case, it's turning lead into gold. Now, for those of you that don't know very much, lead and gold are almost identical, only off by one atom, I think. They weigh the same, they're both malleable, they're very heavy. But one is gold and the other is lead. So we're here to try to change that part of ourselves that is not golden into gold, to realize God consciousness in everything and in everything and everyone we know, everyone we meet. So the darkness then shows up in our life in various forms. Shows up in doubt, fear, guilt, shame, terrible low self-esteem, or maybe an ego that just has to overcompensate itself because it doesn't think it's good enough as it is. The darkness can be aggression, control issues, domination, manipulation. It goes on and on. All of these things are what we can call the path of lower intention. And lower intention is based completely on duality. It's us against them. It's very tribal. It's, if you're my friend, you're my friend. If you're not, get away from me. Don't have anything to do with me. It can even go so far as, you're not the same race as I am, so you can't be as good as I am. And to the enlightened, this is bizarre. This is a bizarre way of being. This is a bizarre way of taking the divine Dharmakaya and twisting it against itself in duality, full of conflict, full of terrible emotions, full of fear. In enlightenment, my experience, such as it is that enlightenment, there's no fear. There is no guilt or shame. There is no woulda, coulda, shouldas going on. There is no enemies. What there is empathy, a deep sense of empathy for everyone and everything you see, in which when you meet someone without even trying, you kind of sense where they're coming from, the pain in their life, their sadness, or maybe their joy. Sometimes people are really happy, and that's a good thing. But you're having empathy. You can feel it. Many people, when they start the spiritual progress and they start to become very sensitive, they do their best to keep those empathetic feelings away. But when you push empathy away, you're closing your heart. And when the heart is closed, the divine circuits cannot flow. Without deep empathy, you cannot have compassion. To the enlightened, we live a life that's free of the traps and snares that other people fall into all the time. The redemption of the soul is the cleaning of the soul. As I said, enlightenment is getting rid of the shadows and the darkness inside of you. I don't worry about changing others in a way that would be disastrous. For I see through a dark glass. But when I'm enlightened, I see clearly. And when I see clearly, I don't see a me or a you. I just see God. I don't see disease or poverty. I see the divine working its way in each one of us to give us circumstances in which we can perfect ourselves. Enlightenment, there is selflessness, selfless service. You just do things for others, not because you're going to get praised for it, or because people think, or you'll even tell yourself, boy, I'm so good, look what I'm doing. It's not like that. You just do your best. You use discrimination. You don't want to give someone money if they're going to be taking that money and destroying their bodies or using it to harm others. But if someone is in need and you can see that they're in need, honestly, what kind of a monster would you be if you didn't help? So selfless service, selfless giving for the enlightenment of all is a hallmark of enlightened mind. One way you can start the enlightenment process is to start keeping track of those things that disturb you. Maybe memories from long past, or maybe memories from 5 minutes ago. I don't know. But you have a memory in which someone harmed you or insulted you or demeaned you, maybe even physically hurt you. And you have that darkness in your heart. Every time you see that person or think of them, you feel this anger or this fear or whatever it is. What you don't feel, fear, is God. What you don't feel is a deep sense of compassion and love. This is not easy. It's not easy to love. I heard the story of a monk, I think it was in Miramar, who for 1 solid year was taken out of his cell and given a physical beating every day. When he finally was released from the prison, they came up and asked him, what was the worst day of all of that torture? And he thought a while and he said, well, there was one day in which the beatings were so severe and how they treated me was so horrible that I almost lost my love for them. It's a pretty high standard. You had, Christ said it, they all said, but Christ said you have to forgive your enemies. You have to pray for them to prosper. Not prosper in doing bad things, but prosper in their awakening. The only reason they're causing all of this harm is because they're living a life of ignorance. Ignorance of the karma of what they're doing. Ignorance of the implications of their actions. So if they awaken, they'll stop. Pray for people who've hurt you. Forgive everyone. And if you can't forgive them, every night, just tell yourself something you really don't believe. You say the person's name, and you say, I forgive you. Even if you don't think you mean it, just say it. Keep saying it until one day there's no more hurt. There's no more darkness. We get rid of the darkness inside of us by following the Eightfold Path in Buddhism, or by following the teachings that Christ taught. Not what his disciples said. The red letters, read the red letters. See what Jesus said. And within the context of his society, you can glean that this is pretty amazing. You are of the divine mind. You are in the image and likeness of the Creator. This is the temple of God. What are you doing with it? Are you taking that divine energy and hurting others by simply thinking nasty thoughts about them, plotting against them, protecting yourself from them, pushing them away? It's duality. What you do is you take that memory, you take that horrible experience, and you find that divine place inside of you. For me, it's right there where that little notch is in your chest. And that is the void. It's not my physical body. It's nothing. It is the void. It is nothing. But I find when I take these terrible memories or these attitudes I have about other people, and I place them there, they just dissolve. You're taking the appearance of duality and destruction and hell and dragons and demons and poltergeists. You're taking them all, dissolving them into the void. When they go into the void, there's nothing for it to stick to. So it dissolves inside of you. I'm not talking about outside. Inside of you, it dissolves. And then I put my hand over my heart and I fill that space before, which was full of anger or sadness or whatever, shame. And I intend unconditional love. Unconditional love has no qualities. It is unconditional. It doesn't feel, it has no light, it has no color. What it is the essence of the void. So I've taken the negativity, dissolved it into the void, and then in the place where I had before separation and duality, I now see it all as part of the perfection of my soul. And as you go through life, anytime you find something that bothers you or upsets you, that's a darkness that's inside of you. And you can dissolve it. Don't bring it in. I'll bring it in and then I'll breathe out. No, you bring it in and you dissolve it. Dissolve it completely. Now, I know this sounds kind of strange, but after all, this is Shiva energy. And this is what Shiva does. Do it for yourself. Perfect yourself. Get rid of your angers, get rid of your jealousies, get rid of your horrible memories. Forgive everyone and everything. And just surrender to spirit. It's an uncommonly fine life when you do. So work on yourself. Do your meditations every day. And in your meditations, when thoughts come up or feelings come up that just disturb you, take this technique, take those feelings, and I personally will reach out and grab them, imagining them in my hand. I'll reach out and grab them and I'll just put them in there. They have to go in. They cannot resist. It's the void. Dissolve it inside yourself until everything inside of you is single. If the I is single, the body is full of light. And that, my friends, is my definition of enlightenment. I wish you well on your journey. And, we're just passing through. But while we're here, let's see what we can do to perfect ourselves. Yeah, perfection's a good thing. I'd like to conclude this with the meditation. Hang on a minute. Let's go with this one. This is one of my favorite songs. It's called Choral C from the album Ecology. It's about scuba diving with an enlightened master. Namaste.